to talk about a serious topic today. We're going to be talking about my 9/11 story. I was in 6th grade when 9/11 happened, and it's like so many mixed emotions. There's so many mixed emotions, and I just remember the entire day, literally. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with when I woke up. I remember waking up and getting ready for school. I got woke up. We used to wake up at probably like 6 in the morning because my bus would come and get me at 6:30 to go to school. And I remember waking up, getting dressed and getting ready to, go to school. But I used to have a night light because I was scared of everything. I didn't like the dark, so I had a night light, and I remember my night light, my night light caught on fire that morning. And the way my room was set up, I had one side as the sky and then one side as the nighttime. The bed was on the sky part. So I remember when I woke up, my cover was on fire because my nightlight was too hot, and it caught my cover on fire. So I remember waking up then and screaming. My dad rushed in, and my dad put the fire out and stuff. It wasn't a huge fire, but I remember that being kind of to me it was like a symbol of a symbol of 9/11. It could have been a warning, but of course I was so young and there's no possible way I could have got to the president, and told him. But I just kind of took that as a symbol of maybe this is a warning. Of course I didn't know what the heck was going on or nothing, but I remember just getting dressed and going to school. When we got to school, I remember we got to our regular, we used to wait in the little auditorium to go to first period, and first period was just a little awkward. I know that the teachers ended up being very frantic, and it was about 3 or 4 6th grade teachers were at my school I was going to, so they ended up actually conversing, just going from room to room, and the teacher was saying I'll be back, and I just remember that it was just a lot of it. And I remember we used to have the big tall TV stand and the big boxy TVs. We had those in each room that we were going to, because when I was in 6th grade we did different levels. We went to different classes, so we switched teachers and stuff. So I remember going to the 2nd period. When I went to 2nd period, I remember my teacher had on the TV the news, and that was when we all just kind of sat there. We were supposed to have a test that day, and the teacher ended up saying there's no way she could deal with just whatever. I remember my teacher ended up having a family member who was in New York and worked in the Trade Center, so she had it on the TV, and we were I just remember watching it on TV, the news. And then of course we went to the next class, and then the next class that teacher had it on TV too. And I just remember after probably 3rd period, I just remember being afraid, and I knew that my cousin I always get teary-eyed when I talk about my 9/11, because my cousin, I knew that my cousin Megan, I know that she moved to New York, and I just remember being really terrified. And I didn't know if my cousin was alive. I didn't know nothing. I knew she probably wasn't in the the World Trade Centers, but I knew that my cousin lived in New York, and I just remember being afraid and then crying all day because I didn't know where my cousin was, and at the time I didn't have a cell phone, so I couldn't call my cousin at all. We weren't allowed to have cell phones back then yet. And I just remember parents just kept coming and picking up their kids, each class had like at least 30 kids, so I just remember the parents would come and pick up their kids, and everybody was just like frantic, didn't know what was going on. I just remember there was a lot of crying that day with my classmates. I was freaking out. I was worried. I stayed until 7th period. There were 8 periods back then in class. I stayed till 7th period, and I just remember feeling very lost that day, and I just knew my cousin was in New York, and I need to know where the hell she is. Like, I just remembered, like, where's my cousin? And it's still hard to really talk about, really, because she's my cousin, and I just knew she lived there. But I remember 6th period, we were in my art room, or one of the classes, and I remember my friend Andrea, I remember she was really losing it, like completely losing it. The teachers had to like pull her to the side and like really talk to her because her parents just took a trip to New York. She didn't know if they were going to come back home. And I remember she was very afraid, she was scared. I really just felt really bad for her because we lived in Ohio and her parents were all the way in New York, and there's no way. I think she was staying with her grandparents at the time with her brother. But I remember I think her brother was in 8th grade then or something like that, or either in high school, but someone came to get her early, and I just felt really bad for her. And every time I think about 9/11, I think about her, I think about my cousin, and I think about my uncle. So I felt really bad for Andrea, and I just remember she didn't come to school, I think, for a couple days. Her parents ended up being okay, but I just felt really bad, like really, I didn't know how to really feel, but I just remember feeling really bad for her. I'm glad her parents ended up coming back. I know that there was a lot of phone calls being made through my family trying to reach my cousin, and a lot of the cell phones were down in New York for some reason. Like, you couldn't call, you couldn't get through. I vividly remember that. I remember lunchtime going outside to play for recess. Yeah, we played for recess outside, and I remember playing Foursquare with my friends, and we were seeing airplanes flying past, or one plane flying past. And then come to find out the next couple of days, we found out that, yeah, that was, one of the planes that was Flight 93. I'm afraid. I remember sitting in class and watching it on TV, as I said earlier, but watching it on TV. I literally just, like, every time I think about it, my heart still stinks and my stomach stinks. It makes me sick to my stomach. I remember when they were both on fire, or the first one was on fire, and then everyone in the class was just like in awe. We were all in 6th grade, so of course you're like, well, what's going on? And I remember when the second plane hit and we watched it on the news. And I remember the class, all of us just like screamed and we were crying. We were literally frantic. The teacher didn't know what to do. I don't think the 4th graders and 5th graders had it on TV, but I know the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teachers, each room had it on TV. Classes were basically canceled that day because there were so many people, parents coming to get their kids. And then I remember when my mom finally came and got me, 7th period, because she's a hairdresser, so she had to wait until all of her clients were done, of course, you know. I remember on the way home, she was telling us about my Uncle Bertie. He was a sergeant in the Army, and he was in the Pentagon. And I remember my grandma was trying to call him. Both my mom's sisters were trying to reach him. My mom tried to call him too. I just remember it being very, very frantic. Like, he worked in the Pentagon, had his own office and everything. I think it took us like 3 days to get in touch with him. He was so, excuse my language, but he was so fucked up, really, from it, that he just didn't want to answer or none of that. And I remember it took forever, and everyone was just freaking out, didn't know where he was or anything. And where the Pentagon, or when the plane hit the Pentagon, my uncle was luckily on the left side of the hole, so that just missed his office. I remember him talking about how he felt the tremor and didn't know what it was. I remember him saying that he felt the heat, and if he wouldn't have got up to go to the next department that he was supposed to go to, he would have been in the midst of where the hole was. I remember him telling my grandma and telling my mom that. And I just remember when she told me, I just completely lost it. I remember going home that day from school, and after she told me that on the way home, me and my sister went outside to play. And normally when we go outside to play, our neighbors, which is my boyfriend now, which is funny, that's another story. We all would play outside, play curveball, fight club, costume robbers, whatever. That day, I just remember we all were just sitting in his yard. We didn't play, we didn't do anything, we didn't do any of that. We literally just sat there, and we all were just talking about the entire day. I remember I cried most of the day, if not all of it. I remember my dad came home from doing construction that day. And I never really saw my dad cry. But for some reason, my dad just completely lost it around dinner time. He got up from the table and he was crying. He got up and just walked away. I think he went upstairs to the room. And my mom was completely quiet the whole day. She was freaking out because her niece, which is my cousin, was in New York. Nobody got in contact with her. Nobody knew if she was okay. None of that. My Uncle Bertie was in the Pentagon. Nobody knew if he was okay. Where he wasn't answering. The phone lines were down. Just like Megan's phone. And I remember my mom, the next day, we didn't go to school the next day. We ended up staying home. There was a lot of people that didn't go to school the next day. So that's just what I remember from 9/11. It still feels like yesterday. It's been 15 years now. Just watching the news and seeing all those people jumping out of the building to try to save their life, and hearing them I feel so bad for those people. There's nothing that they could do. There's nothing that the firefighters could do, the ambulance, anybody that tried to help. There's nothing that they could have done. There was so many people that lost their life from just trying to help. And what aggravates me about 9/11 the most is that people only look at, when you say 9/11, they only look at the Twin Towers. It wasn't just the Twin Towers. There was the Twin Towers in New York, another building in New York, one of the other trade centers, that's just never ever talked about. And then there was also the Pentagon, which is a big deal. But there's a lot of military, service people that work there. They've lost their lives too. And then what about the people that died from the plane, Flight 91, Flight 93, in Pennsylvania? Those people fought to try to save that plane, and they still ended up dying. Just think about the people that were on the airplane. They had no control over that. It could have been children, babies, women, men, innocent people that just lost their lives. Just people that just got up and went to work because they had to go to work or wanted to go to work. Maybe work was their outlet for what they're dealing with at home. They went to work that day and lost their life. I mean, think about it. How do you get down from a 105th floor, the 110th floor? You're stuck on the 101st floor. You're stuck in the second building. You're literally stuck on the top floors because the plane hit so low. There's nothing that they could do about it. And then to watch the buildings crumble, I just remember that literally tore everybody. I still have this gut feeling, which makes me cringe really, because I don't really know how to deal with it still. I wish there was some way I could help and, try to be a hero and save the world, but that's a very traumatic experience. I feel bad for everyone who lost their husbands. There's children that are now 15 years old that's never seen their parents because they're dead now. Yeah, there's so many people that have lost their lives. Just me, innocent people. They were not necessarily bad people. The Al Qaeda people was, but that's besides the point. I don't talk about that. What you say? So just take time to think about 9/11. Just take time to think about 9/11. It's some serious stuff. I really just feel, I really don't have words to really express how I feel. I just remember it. I remember that day was not pretty. It was a very beautiful day, weather-wise. It was really nice. But that just made the whole world just sink, honestly. I'm glad to say that my family were okay. My cousin was just fine. I remember her being afraid, and I remember my mom telling me that she did see it. She could see it from where she was at. But I'm really grateful and very glad that my cousin is okay. I love my cousin a lot. She's actually my #1 fan. My Uncle Bertie's just fine too. And I'm grateful that for some reason it just wasn't his time. He ended up going into another department where he could have just been the one to be one of the people that passed on that day. I just remember him being very shook up. Very shook up. Yeah. So I do want to say I do feel bad for all of the family members who lost their friends, co-workers, family members, bosses. There's some people that made it out that they haven't had a job since. There's a lot of people who have PSD from it, or PTSD. There's a lot of people who still have to go to therapy through it. And for all the mothers who lost their husbands and have raised their children without their husbands there, you guys are troopers. And even the women that passed away, it wasn't just men, but there were women that passed away too. I don't know, I'm just kind of at a loss for words. I just wanted to share my experience of what I remember from 9/11. It was 15 years ago, so it's still very vivid memory to me. So, let me know like your stories, like your experiences, what you guys remember from 9/11. Where were you at that day? And just share your experience with me. Comment down below, let me know. You know. So please thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe as well. To my new subscribers, hey y'all. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.